Hello and welcome to another NooreNiceFlow video. Today we're talking about how to defeat Bayern Munich, Man City and all the big clubs that are just using the mistakes of the other team of the opponent. So in this match we see that Manchester United take on and look dominant in the first half as they scored their goal. Well, before they scored their goal, but they looked dominant mostly in the first half. Bayern Munich were looking out of the place. They were looking so weak. They didn't have a plan, no execution, just Tiki-Taka, use of possession, and that was a weak strategy and a bad strategy to use. Man United defense was lined up perfect, like there. There was no place and there was no space for Robin to score there, but then Valencia stretches the midfield and the defense enough to make space for himself so he can go in and score. Here's another example. They're lined up perfectly. They're targeting the Bayern Munich players one by one, which is a good actually strategy because I'm not telling you to target them to attack them, but I'm telling you to target them and guard them, mark them, don't let them out of your sight, and put them in front of you. That's a really good strategy because when you put them in front of you and you just watch them all the time, they will not slip and they will not have a chance of scoring a goal. Here's another example. They lined up perfectly. Kroos doesn't have any chance of scoring a goal. There's no space between the plays. Look at here. There is space, but he's literally tight. It's really tight there when Manchester United players marked him there. David Moyes did really a good plan there, but I mean, he didn't stay the manager because in the Premier League they were 7th in the table. Here's another example. But what Manchester United does now, when they start getting tired and they start to get off the plan. They were having a good start. They did start with a good plan. They did not have any mistakes. Here's another Bayern Munich mistake that was a result of Tiki-Taka because of possession. You leave space. You leave space on the sides, and that's why Evra scored. Here's another Manchester United mistake. Why? Because Mandzukic was not marked, and when you don't mark a player, this player will score. Here's another example. Look at Ribéry. I mean, he did have a lot of space, but I mean, he was poor with the finish. Here's another example. He's not marked. It was just a wild catch and a wild save. Nobody predicted that, and that was a result. Mandzukic tried another header, and that's a good thing to keep the other team's player out of the side. But here's another thing. He slipped. Vidic slipped. When you slip in there, that is a really bad defense because when he slipped, he couldn't control Muller. And when he didn't control Muller, that was really bad control. And then Robin was not marked, and that was a bad finish. I mean, a good finish, but that was a really bad defense because they were all over the place. They were not marked. They didn't have a plan, but they were lined up perfectly. And when we go back there, when you go back to the first half, you can see that they were lined up perfectly. I mean, Bayern Munich didn't have a chance of scoring. And yeah, that's the result of having mistakes. I hope you guys like this video. Make sure you drop a comment down below. Let me know what you guys want me to do next. Bye bye.